Friday edition, Mr. Irrelevant, presented by Door County Distillery, locally produced, handcrafted, award-winning spirits made locally in beautiful Door County. I'm Alex Strouf with you from the Everlight Solar Studio in downtown Madison. Producer Tiny Hands Hunter Vaughn is here. We are reunited in the flesh. I do have a bone to pick with him a bit later in the program, given some of his actions the last 24 hours, but we will get to that later. Hello, Tiny Hands. Good to see you, I think.
I'm happy to see you. This is good to have the band back together. I'm excited.
I don't know if Joshy DiMaggio is here. I don't know if he's joining us. I don't know what the story is there, so I don't know. Maybe Joshy will join us at some point. But lots to get into in the meantime. Sunday Night Football. I got to be honest with you. I'm nervous as heck. I'm nervous about what's coming Sunday night in Seattle. That's a tough place to play. The Packers have not won in Seattle since 2008. Now, that, of course, comes with an asterisk, given what happened in 2004. What year was that? 2012, the Fail Mary. And obviously the 2014 NFC Championship game, which the Packers had in the bag. But that one was legit. The one, the Fail Mary, not so much. But in the record books, it counts as a loss. The Packers have not won in Seattle since 2008. We'll dive into that. Devin Williams is out of Milwaukee. He's traded to the New York Yankees. We got to talk about that a little bit and hear from the panel's biggest Brewers fan, which is, of course, Hunter Vaughn. We'll do our underdog picks. We'll do our what we learned as we wrap up the week and get ready for Sunday Night Football. But we have to start with Thursday Night Football. We have to start with the clown who is Devondre Campbell, the former Packers linebacker, disgruntled. And look, this is the same dude who has provided me so much content the last several months. If you remember and think back to Devondre Campbell, think back to when he left Green Bay at the end of last season. Think back to March when he went on a Twitter tirade saying, hey, the reason I sucked wasn't my fault. The reason that I couldn't play up to the level I did when I won my All-Pro wasn't my fault. Nobody listened to me. Woe is me. Everything is everybody else's fault. That was Devondre Campbell in March during his Twitter tirade. Then in May, he tweets, once they do a little OTAs offseason program in San Francisco, Devondre Campbell tweets, I can't even lie. I'm having so much fun playing football again. The situation I was in was making me lose my love for the game, but I'm back having fun again, and I love that for myself. End quote from Devondre Campbell on Twitter in May. And boy, what can change in 7 months, less than 7 months, for Devondre Campbell. As yesterday, Drake Greenlaw, the star linebacker for the 49ers, made his return. You think back to the Super Bowl, he ruptured his Achilles warming up on the sideline prior to last year's Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. He returns yesterday. Can't make it all the way through the game. So in the third quarter, coaches go up to Devondre Campbell. They say, hey, ready to go in? Ready to go sub in for Dre? Ready to go get your reps? Because you've been starting all season, Devondre Campbell, right? This is a professional sport. You're paid to play, whether that's as a starter, as a backup, as a special teamser, or as a healthy scratch. You are paid to play. And Devondre Campbell said, nah, I'm good, went to the locker room and left the building. He quit on his team in what was essentially a must-win game for the San Francisco 49ers. So the same guy less than 7 months ago that said, I can't even lie, I'm having so much fun playing football again, clearly isn't having that much fun playing football again. After the game, head coach Kyle Shanahan asked, hey, dude, what happened with Devondre Campbell? What happened here? You got to hear this to believe it. It's unbelievable.
What happened with Devondre Campbell? He didn't play and he went into the locker room at some point?
Yeah, he said he didn't want to play today.
Play today?
Yep.
The coaching staff?
He did when I asked him why he didn't want to go in. So.
During the game or before?
No, that was in the third quarter.
So Devondre Campbell, not only selfish and a quitter and a bad teammate, Devondre Campbell prior to the game could have had the opportunity to say, hey, you know what? I don't think I'm feeling it today. Right? They could elevate a linebacker. They could, there's so many options, right? Devondre Campbell could get ahead of this before the game and say, yeah, I'm good. I feel disrespected, whatever he feels. And we haven't heard from Devondre Campbell. I imagine we eventually will. It might be a minute. But at the end of the day, Devondre Campbell said, nah, I'm good. But he didn't do it before the game. He didn't do it during the week leading up on a short week. He didn't do it at halftime. He did it in the third quarter. He finally said, yeah, I'm good. I'm done. I don't want to play. He's a quitter. He's selfish. It's sad. It's ridiculous. And I'm just glad he's not the Packers' problem anymore. Because damn, what a problem he was. In 2021, he has a great year. First team All-Pro. Signs a 5-year, $50 million contract with the Green Bay Packers, which he only played 2 years under last year and the year prior. Disgruntled, didn't get along with Joe Barry, and not a lot of players did, so don't get me twisted on that. His gripe with Joe Barry is one thing. His gripe with San Francisco is another. He's a quitter. He will never play in the NFL. I mean, I would place a significant wager to say Devondre Campbell has played his last down in the NFL. I mean, look, Hunter, you know the name Vontae Davis. Tell me why you know the name Vontae Davis.
He said he was out after a half with the Bills.
Right. He's the answer to a trivia question. He's one of maybe the only player ever that has retired in the middle of a game, Vontae Davis. He's the answer to a trivia question. And the trivia question written and going to be written about Devondre Campbell is no longer this linebacker bounced around the league before becoming a first-team All-Pro with the Green Bay Packers in 2021. What was his? That's not the trivia question anymore. The trivia question is, hey, which linebacker for the 49ers in a must-win Thursday night football game against a division rival said, nah, I'm good, and never played another down in the NFL again? The answer to that trivia question is the quitter, Devondre Campbell, the former Green Bay Packer. I still can't believe this story. It's been 14 hours. It's a banana story. And he's a quitter, and you should be happy he's not on the Packers, and he is not headed to Seattle this weekend. I don't think the Packers will be calling him. They could use some linebacker help. I don't think they'll be calling Devondre.
Yeah, they're good.
I think so, too. So that's that on Devondre Campbell. Let me know what you think. ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Madison on YouTube is where you can get in on the action. Would love to hear from you on the Devondre Campbell situation because it is a unique one, right? Like him and Vontae Davis are the two. I guess Antonio Brown, too, also falls in that category when he was playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, but Antonio Brown was like a very different crash out.
Right.
Like that, he's in his own category.
Oh, yeah. And look, that one was at least a little bit expected. I mean, it was unexpected, but was it surprising?
It was also entertaining.
Yeah, right. He ripped his shirt off, was pumping up the crowd. I think were they playing at the Jets, I think it was?
Yep.
And he took off his shirt. He's running through the end zone. Yeah, that's ridiculous. But this Devondre Campbell story, man. I just wanted to get that off my chest. So thank you for bearing with me. Let's get to Sunday Night Football. It's Packers-Seahawks Sunday night in Seattle. The Seahawks have won 4 in a row. They're 8-5 and leading the NFC West. The Packers, of course, at 9-4, are currently the 6th seed in the NFC. The Seahawks, currently the 3 seed in the NFC. So of sorts, this could be a playoff preview. This game right here could be a look inside the future of what Wild Card Weekend could look like. A late-night game, a hostile environment, a hot Seahawks team, and a Packers team we think is pretty good. Now, I had this conversation yesterday with Jason Wilde on Weekly Wilde, which you can find each and every Thursday on the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube channel, as well as in the Mr. Irrelevant podcast feed. If you're listening on the audio side, you'll see the bonus episode pop up every Thursday with Jason Wilde. And he had a really good opinion on the Packers, which really is a lack of opinion on the Packers. Because typically year to year, and you can do this with most teams in the NFL already here this year, as we're nearing the end of the season, you know which teams are good. You know which teams are bad. You know which teams are Super Bowl hopefuls. You know which teams are number 1 draft pick hopefuls. And by this point, you can kind of predict a team's ceiling, right? So let's use Seattle for an example. They have potential to have a very high-powered offense. They have 3 really good receivers, 2 really good running backs, and a capable quarterback. They have the ability to score points. They have the ability to keep up with teams, but they're probably not to the level of a real NFC contender. The Lions, they're Super Bowl hopeful. They're that good. The Bills. The Steelers just find ways to win games despite doing nothing terrific, right? You have a good idea of what each of these teams are. For whatever reason, For me, this Packers team has been really hard to figure out. I don't think they're bad. I think they're good. Are they Super Bowl good? They could be. Or are they just playoff team good and they've played bad teams, so their record's inflated? That's certainly possible. I can't rule that out as a possibility either. So I'm having a hard time figuring out exactly what the Packers team's ceiling is and floor is. And we're, 13 games approaching our 14th game of the season. Now, I think a part of that is the Packers don't technically have that signature win we talk so much about on their schedule, right? As it stands right now, their signature win, quote unquote, is probably that Houston game in October. They made C.J. Stroud look like a college quarterback. He threw for less than 100 yards, and a guy who was viewed as an MVP candidate entering the season certainly did not look the part in that game against the Houston Texans. But Houston's, one game or 2 games over 500. They play in the worst division in all of the NFL, and they're going to get into the playoffs kind of because, right? They play in a bad division. They just got to win some games. I don't think Houston's a Super Bowl hopeful this year. I think they are hey, let's try to get the divisional weekend and see what happens type team. Because in the AFC, it seems to me like it's Chiefs-Bills and that's it, at least at this point. So a signature win over Houston doesn't feel as good as if I said, hey, the Packers beat the Detroit Lions last week. That's a signature win. It doesn't feel as good as if they beat the Minnesota Vikings or the Philadelphia Eagles in the opener, the teams that are that good. Despite the Seahawks not being a Super Bowl favorite, and despite probably not even being in the running for an NFC Championship game appearance, I think Sunday has the opportunity to be the signature win that the Packers have been so elusive with. But it needs to look that way, right? I don't think a 27-24 shootout win is a signature win for the Packers. They need to completely slow down Geno Smith, turn him over, and slow down all the production of those 3 receivers. Jackson Smith-Njigba has evolved into a superstar in this league. DK Metcalf is still DK Metcalf. And Tyler Lockett's been a good receiver for a decade. So they have the ability to spray this all over the field. And the Packers have not been able to defend the middle of the field, something I know Joshy DiMaggio feels very passionately about. So this one makes me nervous. But it could serve as the signature win for the Packers. Let's go to the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio. Let's go to Joshy DiMaggio. Joshy, could Sunday be the signature win the Packers are looking for?
I'm going to say it's not going to be the signature win people are looking for because everybody is searching for a win in a way that I just don't think they're ever going to get it. I think it'll be a good win, but I still think there's a significant chance the Rams end up coming out of that division there in the West. So in the postmortem of it, we might feel good about it, but by the time the playoffs come, knowing some of the way people react to games around here, it'll be like, well, that team ended up falling off and they lost 3 straight and then weren't in the playoffs. So I think the only way it is signature win style is if you owned the game end to end, the entire game, and it's like a convincing victory.
Yeah, right. I think that's the way it has to look in order for it to be viewed as the signature win, because Seattle's probably a playoff team, but you're right. I think the Rams can probably come back and win this division despite their ugly win last night. A win is a win. You never apologize for winning, and the Rams certainly won't. Josh, I think they're going to lose.
Yeah, I can feel that from you. I think the Packers are going to win, but I'm having a hard time fully convincing myself of that fact. I find myself a little bit hesitant to fully buy all the way in just because of what you had mentioned. The thing the Seahawks do well is the thing the Packers don't do well, and don't do well to the tune of like one of the worst in the league at it. I think JSN could be one of those games where we all know it's coming and they can't stop him. I remember a Keenan Allen game when he was with the Chargers where he had like 13 catches in the first half.
Yeah.
And was like, well, can we do something about this, please, someone? I think Geno Smith is not that good. I think you can get to him.
Yep.
I also think their defense, while improving, is also susceptible to big plays and getting mixed up.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It might be a weird one, and it might be a weird win. I've got bad juju, and I'm typically not this way, right? Like, I get nervous, but I look, and Chewy called me it all week on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy weekday morning 7 to 9 on ESPN Milwaukee. He calls me a toad, right? Ribbit, there it is. Calls me a toad all the time. Strode, I believe, is the nickname he's come up with for me. And
yes,
thanks for the confirmation, Josh. And a couple days before, I never feel like it's a loss, right? It's very rare for me to go, yeah, I don't see a way they can win this game. Last week, I thought they were going to beat Detroit. I've picked them to lose a few times this year, but those were in games where I think they could win. I picked them to lose the opener, which they did, and it was a good game, and they played well, and then Love got hurt on one of the last plays. And I picked them to lose the first Detroit game at Lambeau Field, which they did. So that's not me bragging and saying I've been right, because I don't often pick them to win or lose. Excuse me. I pick them to go like 15-2 every year, even when they're bad, like they were at the beginning of last year. I pick them to win all the time. I don't think I can pick them to win this week. I don't know why. I'm usually the optimist. I'm usually the toad. I'm usually. I always spin it optimistically, and I'll find a way to by Sunday at 4:00 when we get ready for Green Bay game day. But as it stands right this second, I just don't think I can pick them to win. And that is what it is. And if they lose, they're still alive. It's not like they're going to lose their playoff chances. It's not like they'll miss the playoffs. I don't think. Unless they go 1-3 over the stretch, I don't think there's a shot they miss the playoffs. Because 10-7, I don't think you're getting in the NFC. 11-6, you're good. And you could still be the 6th seed at 11-6, but you can't go 1-3. You got to go at least 2-2. I think they'll go 3-1. I think if they drop this one, they'll win out, which includes a win at Minnesota at the end of the month. But this just feels like hostile environment, good offense. Your defense is still beat up, despite maybe you getting Jair Alexander back, and maybe getting Edrin Cooper back, and maybe getting Evan Williams back. Whew. I don't like the threat that those receivers pose. That's what freaks me out.
Does it make you feel at all better that the reports are, I just saw Yahoo Sports had one, that it's still looking like Kenneth Walker not going to practice today, the main running back for
Makes
Seattle.
Me feel better, yeah.
So, I think that's where maybe you hope the front seven plays well against the run, and you don't need to commit guys to the box.
It's so hard for me to be like, yeah, they've really shown me they can do that recently.
I know.
Right? They can't get off the field.
I'm just trying to help.
I know you are. Now, the one thing,
interesting.
No, go ahead, Joshy.
The interesting thing is, even though Ken Walker might not play, Charbonnet is probably a top 20 back in the league still, even though he's the backup. That guy's very, very good. And yes, and he's a big hitter type guy, which could, flip a game totally on its head. I wish there was a bigger downgrade from Ken Walker to Zach Charbonnet, but I just don't think there is.
Yeah, true. Now, the one case you can make, Joshy kind of made it a bit ago. You're not playing Joe Montana on Sunday, right? You're not playing Tom Brady on Sunday. You're not playing Peyton Manning. Geno Smith is a respectable quarterback, and don't get me wrong, I like Geno Smith. It's hard not to, given his story and his path in the league, and now he's finally in his 30s carved out a long-term starting role for himself. But he ain't Patrick Mahomes. So if you can fluster him, if you can, and again, this is a big if the pass rush can get going a little bit, then maybe I feel a bit better about the Packers' chances. But as it stands right this second, I'm not feeling so great. So we'll continue to preview this one. I do want to dive into the Devin Williams trade a little bit. I want to make some Underdogs picks, and then I want to get back to this game before we wrap up the show with what we learned. All still ahead. But first, got to tell you about our great friends. I'm going to be getting into the Door County tonight. As Joshy says, the Door Counties. I'm going to be getting into the Door Counties tonight. I think I'm going to hit State Street tonight as I'm spending the night in Madison. My old stomping grounds. I think I might get after it on State Street. The Door Counties are going to be flowing. For me, it's usually the Door County Distillery bourbon. I will be going to a bourbon bar that I know they have Door County Distillery's bourbon at, so I think I might get a little bourbon tonight after the 608 basketball tournament. But man, Door County Distillery, locally produced, handcrafted, award-winning spirits. They're delicious. They're the best. They're affordable. They're local. They're award-winning. it's almost the holiday season. I mean, it is the holiday season, really. You might have a holiday gathering this weekend. And we have to be honest with ourselves when the holidays are here, right? If you're hosting a holiday party, you know you're going to be mixing up old fashions. It's just a staple in this state. And the old debate, brandy or whiskey? Hunter, where do you fall in the debate? Are you a brandy or a whiskey guy?
Brandy 100%.
Brandy old fashions. Joshy, are you a brandy or a whiskey old fashions guy?
Whiskey.
Okay, look at that.
Ooh.
So in the hypothetical that I hosted a Mr. Irrelevant Christmas party or holiday gathering, I'm going to need to be mixing up brandy old fashions and whiskey old fashions, and you can do both with Door County Distillery. They've got the cherry brandy, which is made with local Door County cherries. Absolutely delicious. It's got the cherry flavor. It's really, really good. And then they've got the 27-time gold medal award-winning single malt whiskey. I go both ways. I'll start with the brandy, flip over to the whiskey later. You got to pick it up. Woodman's, liquor stores all over the state, whether in Madison, Milwaukee, Stevens Point, Green Bay, anywhere in the state, Door County Distillery is available by you. You can check out their website, doorcountydistillery.com. Find the nearest retailer as well as a huge list of unique cocktail recipes. We will step aside for 60 seconds. When we return, Devin Williams is a Yankee. He is out of Milwaukee as the Brewers. I don't know if they got significantly worse today, but they are certainly worse this week than they were a week ago. But Brandon Woodruff's coming back. So we'll dive into it with the Brewers, the biggest Brewers fan of the panel, Hunter Vaughn, coming up on the other side. It's Mr. Relevant. I'm Alex Strouf.
Back at Door County Distillery, the New Year's coming up, so we're going to celebrate in style, making the final countdown with our buddy Rob from Door County Distillery. Rob, happy early New Year.
Yeah, happy early New Year's to you too. Do you have any resolutions coming up?
I've got many, but we shouldn't get into those now. We only have 60 seconds. We've got the 20 at least time award-winning single malt whiskey headlining this lineup. How do we make the final countdown?
All right, so you start with, as you said, the award-winning whiskey, single malt, 2.5 ounces of that, half an ounce of grenadine, half an ounce of simple syrup, 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. Stir. Stay on the outside of the glass, give her a little once over around.
Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to you, Rob.
Happy New Year's.
The
Cheers.
final countdown from Door County Distillery. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Check out their website with a huge list of unique cocktail recipes at doorcountydistillery.com. That's doorcountydistillery.com. You know, when I watch or listen to those videos back, I just realize I'm such a simple man to please. Like, give me a cocktail, I'll start clapping for you. It's that simple sometimes. Am I a simple fella, Joshy? I feel like you think I'm simple.
Yeah, you are quite simple.
Hunter, I know you agree with him.
Yeah, I was going to be nice and just not say anything and let you move on, but you asked, so yeah, you're simple.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Bill on the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube chat says, hey, Stroufy, has Wildy or Rob, or maybe you know, what is going on with your boy Emmanuel Wilson? He loves calling him my boy. Emmanuel Wilson. Every time he gets in, he runs for 9+ yards on average. How did Brooks jump him to the number 2 now? Well, Chris Brooks, who I really like, by the way, Bill, is like a 6th offensive lineman. He's amazing in pass protection. He's a really good blocker. He's had some strong runs. He had almost a walk-in touchdown in that first Detroit game at Lambeau Field, which he dropped. But I think he's shown some really nice flashes. So he's essentially taken over Emmanuel Wilson's role. Now, would I like to see a little bit more Wilson in the mix, especially in the ground game? Yes, I'm with you on that. Because, look, Josh Jacobs is a tank. He's a workhorse. He's a stud. But I think when it comes to actually being a runner of the football, I'll take Emmanuel Wilson over Chris Brooks. I think Chris Brooks allows you some more versatility in terms of your play call and you know what you're showing. But yeah, it's a good question. I do not know the answer. But I mean, it's just that Brooks has effectively jumped him on the depth chart, and they feel that they can do more with him, which I think is fair because he's such a good blocker. He's so good in pass protection. That's what I would tell you, Bill. Keep your eye on that on Sunday night when Chris Brooks is on the field. Watch what he's doing because it is like, whoa, that's something they miss. So I don't want to call him a fullback by any means, but it seems like he kind of plays that role a little bit for this Packers offense. So he is an interesting case to me, but it's a good question by you. David says on the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube chat, having Javon Bullard and Jair Alexander is going to be a huge thing to keep an eye on those receivers, Strouf. I'm with you, but it's Jair Alexander. I know he's practiced all week. I get it. I am not going to believe he's on the field until 90 minutes before the game, which I think is 5:50 p.m. on Sunday. When they announce the actives and inactives, then I will believe Jair Alexander is there to help. But he's unfortunately, and we've said this before, but he's unfortunately now the modern-day David Bakhtiari. He's a great player and plays at a high level when he's healthy, but you can't always rely on him to be there. And that's the part that concerns me with Jair Alexander. So, yes, if he is in the game, I'm with you. He is going to make a huge impact. Excuse me, my throat was a little dry there. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll know at 5:50 on Sunday. But I agree with you if that is correct. Okay, let's get to this. Devin Williams, the Brewers' closing pitcher, has been traded to the New York Yankees, according to ESPN's Jeff Passan. Something we kind of knew was coming. It's not something we're shocked by, but he will now be a Yankee. Nestor Cortez, the left-handed starter, will bolster the Brewers' rotation. He is sent back to Milwaukee in this trade is Nestor Cortez. So Cortez is a Brewer, Devin Williams, a Yankee. Hunter, I said we're not surprised by this. I don't think we should be surprised by this. This was something we saw coming in terms of an off-season trade regarding Devin Williams. But it makes you go, uh-oh, who's going to fill that role? And I know Brewers fans are still upset about how the season ended, and it was with the ball in Devin Williams' glove. Is that a phrase? It is now.
Yeah.
It is now.
In his hand.
In his hand. Leaving his hand. But he's a good pitcher for the most part, and I view this as a downgrade regardless of how we can spin it, but curious on your thoughts.
Yeah, it's so tough when the last time you saw him out there, he was kind of a big reason why the team lost because he just didn't have it that night against the Mets. And it's kind of another one of those moves, kind of like Josh Hader, where you're just like, okay, you're not going to keep him. Go send him off, get something for him. You get a starting pitcher, you get another infielder. They need some help on the corners. So I get it there. While you were kind of going over things, looking at Cortez's numbers from last year, like he went 9-10. He was solid. He had like a 3.7 ERA. So it's a good arm to add to the rotation, especially if we're not quite sure when DL Hall will be ready. Like I think they needed that other arm. So I'm fine with it. This is kind of what I expected to happen. I really thought they would maybe wait until just before the season, like just as pitchers and catchers were going to report. But like, I get it. Like, I'm not heartbroken over it. I was never like, oh, they need to figure out a way to keep Devin Williams because we just saw it in the postseason. And I mean, I tweeted about it a few times where I'm like, I don't get why Pat Murphy leaves him out there in moments because he was a type of pitcher where one or two at-bats, you know if he's got it or not. And after that, like, pull him if he doesn't have it. And they never did. And it lost them games, especially in the biggest moments. So I'm fine with probably McGill or Piamps, I would think, would be one of the two arms early on.
Yeah, McGill.
And then see who stands out.
McGill is where my head went.
Yeah.
And look, I mean, with Devin Williams injured all year, the Brewers, this is the nice thing about how wacky their season was. It felt like they had like 86 different starting pitchers this year. And they had, I think it was double digits as well. And it wasn't actually 86. I think it was somewhere in the ballpark of like 23, 24 different starting pitchers this year. And I think they had 14 different guys that recorded a save. Or it was an absurd number. And I don't know if that's an MLB, maybe not an MLB record, but a recent record and a Brewers record for how many different guys recorded saves. They won 93 games this year. And their closing pitcher, and Devin Williams, was injured for a majority of it. So you won 93 games mostly without him. Not all without him, but, I mean, you won, what was it, probably 70 games without him?
Yeah, and then, too, like, the benefit of that is those guys that pitched in closing innings, like, that closed situation is high leverage, high pressure. So if you've got a guy who comes in, let's say Freddie gets shelled in the fifth inning of the game and all of a sudden a 4-0 lead is 4-3 and you've got to bring somebody in to get 2 outs to just get out of that inning because things got out of hand. You know you have guys who can handle high pressure situations in the middle of your bullpen. I still feel good about as for pitching, especially with Woodruff coming back here too. Like, pitching is probably my last concern with the Brewers. I just worry about consistent hitting. Like, now Jackson Chourio, year 2, everything he did last year, like, he's got to step it up and be even better. That's where I'm concerned about this team is just like, can we get offense consistently out of them because I feel fine about the pitching.
So Joshy, he always has a spin zone for something. And I saw he tweeted this. You mean to tell me my favorite team traded away Devin Williams and got the most annoying pitcher ever back? What a debacle. So, Joshy, safe to say you are not a fan of the newest Brewer, Nestor Cortez.
No, he is my least favorite MLB player to watch right now.
Why?
The whole hang the leg, wiggle your mustache, shake your butt stuff is so annoying, and he is not good enough to be doing that. He has in his last 200 innings been figured out. His ERA is up over 4. I know we have you can look to some of these. No, watching him sucks, and it sucks even more when he gets shelled and he's doing his little antics up there and wiggling his toes. Just throw the damn ball, man. It is. I'm going to boycott every game he started. I will not be watching. I won't be going. I will be paying attention to when he is slated to be on the bump because I'm not going to be there.
All right, so I almost want to poll this, but it's way too inside baseball. Amongst ourselves, what is more likely? Hunter successfully boycotts next year's Badgers football season by not attending any games, or Joshy successfully eludes a Nestor Cortez start at AmFam Field? Which is more likely?
I'm going to go with myself because I know what the schedule is. I know I can easily just tell my wife nah, I don't want to go. You can go,
okay.
Go ahead.
So naturally I'm going to be the tiebreaker because I'm imagining Josh is also going to pick himself.
Yeah, of course. I'm always paying attention to who's pitching before I even go to games. So if I see and I can predict where Nestor's going to be, I'm going to be saying, no, thanks. No, I'm all right.
But sometimes Pat Murphy likes to hide that until just before the game. You may have committed to a game, and it might be TBD, and then all of a sudden he gets rolled out, especially once DL Hall's back and they've got a full rotation.
I understand what you're saying. Here's the thing. You don't know how stubborn I am. And if I see it, I'll just go, well, not going today. I didn't pay for these anyways, so I'm just not going to go.
Here's the thing. I don't think either of you are successfully doing this. I think 100% by week 3, Hunter will be in Camp Randall. And I think 100% by July, Joshy's going to attend a Nestor Cortez start.
So
and
you
here's
think
the
I'm
other
going to
thing.
Miami of Ohio or Middle Tennessee because I'm not driving to Tuscaloosa.
Well, right. Now here's the thing with that is those are not major opponents, which means not a lot of tickets being bought, which means there's a very realistic opportunity where somebody goes, hey, Hunter, here's 4 free tickets. And you go, I can't resist. And for Joshy, dude, by August, Joshy's going to be shaking his butt and wiggling his mustache. He's going to be all in on Nestor Cortez because he's going to have a great revival.
Yep.
He's going to be a good Brewer. He's going to win all of his starts, and Joshy's going to be sold that's our ace, right? With Woody and Nestor Cortez and Colin Ray,
Tobias Myers,
right? That Joshy's just going to become a Nestor Cortez guy, and he's going to give him fake hope that the Brewers are going to win the World Series. I think that's how this plays out.
You guys have severely underestimated me because I don't like him now. I'm going to like him even less as he's a Milwaukee Brewer. And all it's going to take is one bad game, which he's known to have, and it's going to be forever in my never going to like this guy, even if he improves and is good through a stretch.
So let's hypothetically say he goes 9-1 on the year. He gets a few no decisions, but that one loss, he got shelled against the Padres in July, and the Brewers still win the division. You're still going to hate this guy?
Yeah, and then when he gets the starting role in the playoffs and then gets shelled, I'm going to have the last laugh. I always have the last laugh, Hunter. Come on.
So you're going to root against your own team because of the starting pitcher. That's how diluted you are with his hate.
I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait for it to happen.
He's going to neutral, right?
Oh, that's such a twisting of it. You're rooting against them. If you're not rooting for positive, rooting for neutral is rooting against them. You're either with them or you're against them.
Nah, rooting for neutral is rooting for nobody. It's like me with Marquette in Wisconsin. You're rooting for neutral. You can do it.
And that's
I will not be wearing split. I will not be wearing split jerseys to the NLCS game against the Dodgers. I promise you that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I might buy him a shirt now.
I think we have to.
I think we have to too.
I ain't wearing it.
You're such a punk.
I'll turn it into some rags to use around the house.
All right, dude. Whatever floats your boat. All right, let's dive into Underdog, UnderdogFantasy.com. Play their pick'em game. You just look at players' projections on their stats. You pick higher or lower on their projected stats. You can win up to 1,000 times your money on the Underdog app and UnderdogFantasy.com. Underdog app, free to download, free to sign up. You can get up to a 100% deposit match on the Underdog app and UnderdogFantasy.com by using promo code GoodKarma at sign up. That's all one word, GOODKARMA. Good Karma, all one word, at sign up. And you win up to 1,000 times your money. Turn $1 into $1,000 on the Underdog app and UnderdogFantasy.com. Taking a look at Sunday Night Football. It's Packers Seahawks in Seattle. I see one I like. Geno Smith, half an interception. I will take the higher on. I think the Packers defense, number 3 in the NFL on turnovers, keeps the momentum going. As we've talked about, I do think you can rattle Geno Smith. I do think you can get some pressure on Geno Smith and make him make mistakes. The Packers aren't playing Joe Montana. They're not playing Patrick Mahomes. They're playing Geno Smith, who I think is prone to make at least one mistake. I like Geno Smith at higher than half of an interception. I'm through a couple of, or there's a couple of things I like on Jordan Love. One of them is higher than half of a rushing yard in the first quarter. It's 1.64 times. So essentially it's plus 164 if you look at it that way. Half of a rushing yard in the first quarter.
The problem is if he gets sacked too,
right,
you lose those yards.
But I don't think he does in the first quarter. Now, this could be one of those where it just seems too good to be true. I go to our resident underdog expert, Joshy. Is this one too good to be true? Higher than half of a first quarter rushing yard for Jordan Love?
That one, it makes me nervous because he typically doesn't want to run. Those usually come later when there's a little bit of pressing. I don't love it.
Okay, I'll stay away from it. The longest rush is 5.5 yards, which he might do later.
Yeah, you could also, if you wanted to, do the 5.5 for this one, and then at halftime, if you're on top of things, you can get some second half ones, because I know they'll bring those up. So that might be where you could then, maybe double dip on 2 entries.
It's true. We could just go passing yards. I think he's going to throw more than 238.5, but I kind of like
what the weather's going to be? Because if it's rainy.
All right, true. I don't think it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be nice and kind of cool, but, that's fine. Jackson Smith and Jig was 65.5 receiving yards. Anybody want to make the case of why I shouldn't select higher?
The only case I would make is his ADOT is pretty low, his average depth of target. I would circle.
You're such a nerd.
I would circle receptions over the actual yardage there.
Higher than 5.5?
But yes, okay. That one I like a lot more.
Okay. So right now I have Geno Smith higher than half of an interception. Jordan Love higher than 5.5 yards is his longest rush. And Jackson Smith and Jigba higher than 5.5 receptions. We're in pretty good shape so far. I like this.
By the way, weather report for Seattle, looked that up quick. 15% chance of precipitation, but 0 accumulation, so I have no idea what that means.
Say that one more time.
15% chance, but 0 accumulation.
Does that mean it's like a mist? You know how it kind of up there gets like a...
That could be it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Where it's like not... It's just wet and yucky.
I'm sure that's exactly how Matt LaFleur would describe it, too, after the game. It was just yucky.
Wet and yucky.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Strouf, I have some confessions to make here.
Uh-oh.
The playoff best ball started. The season long just ended. I advanced not as many teams as I would like in the season long, but we got a chance. You got a chip in a chair. You got a chance. I'm currently actively right now at this moment in my 50th best ball playoff draft.
50? 5-0?
Oh.
5-0.
You had you were in like 500 leagues, weren't you?
Yes, correct. Yes, you nailed that.
Who was more obsessed, me with College Football 25 or Josh with the best ball leagues?
Oh, it's Josh. It's not close. And you were obsessed.
Yeah, the problem is is I can do this anytime. You need to be in front of your console. All I need is my phone and an internet connection, and I'm drafting teams. Reinvested that money right back into the old machine here. You got to be out there fighting to have a chance.
Got to be out there fighting. All right, I'm going to add one more to this entry. I like Christian Watson at higher than 45.5 receiving yards. So right now I have 4 picks. It's Christian Watson, 45.5 receiving yards higher. JSN, higher than 5.5 receptions. Jordan Love, higher than 5.5 yards for a longest rush. And Geno Smith, higher than half of an interception. If you want to do a standard entry, that will pay you 8.9 times your money. So $10 wins you 89, 100 wins you 890. If we do the flex entry, which I'm going to do, if you get all 4 correct, that gives you 5.34 times your entry. So, for example, $20 could win you up to 106. If you get 3 correct, you win an extra $10. You win 30. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to place a $20 entry on the Underdog app and UnderdogFantasy.com. Using promo code GoodKarma, those are my 4 picks. It's Geno Smith higher than half an interception. Jordan Love higher than 5.5 yards on his longest rush. JSN higher than 5.5 receptions. And Christian Watson higher than 45.5 receiving yards. The entry is in on Underdog. Get in the game with Underdog. It's your call. Okay, it's time now to wrap up the show. And I'm giving us a lot of time to do this because we need a lot of time to do this. We have to have a little bit of a therapy session. We have to be honest with one another on our feelings towards one another. What I learned is Hunter hates me. Last night, the ESPN Madison holiday party, which I was invited to but did not attend because I'm here today and tonight and into tomorrow. I didn't want to do a 2-night hotel stay, so I'm just doing 1 night in a hotel, which is tonight. Last night, so the holiday party for ESPN Madison is hosted at Madison Axe, which is an axe throwing bar. Awesome. Been there before. I've been there a few times. It's an awesome spot. I had this video sent to me. Hunter, turn your mic off. I don't want to talk to you yet. I want to talk to Joshy before I talk to you. Hunter, roll the tape. This is the video I received. It's Hunter throwing axes at my face, bubbles of my face that then explode. Hunter was throwing axe after axe after axe at pictures of my face. It's like the old thing you see in cartoons where you make a dartboard of somebody you hate's face and you just throw darts at their face.
Best performance I had all night.
I told you to turn your mic off. Joshy, how would you react to this?
I would ask Hunter why he wants me dead and is my biggest enemy. That's what how I'd approach it.
Okay, great. That's how I'm going to approach it then. Hunter, why do you want me dead and why are you my biggest enemy?
You're not my biggest enemy. I think that's Ben Brust at this point.
Hold on.
What?
You forgot one portion of that. He doesn't want you dead. But why
I didn't get there yet.
His biggest enemy?
I was answering, I don't want you dead either. That's why it was pictures of you. It wasn't like it was mannequins or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was voodoo dolls going on. I didn't know what was happening there. I wasn't there.
No, we found out that you could do that. So that we maybe had a couple of other pictures throughout. I'm not going to name any names of anything else. It was all appropriate. And it was just one of those where we're like, you know what? For the bit, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have a little bit of fun. I think it went over the line, though, when one of the employees of Madison Axe was like, oh, whose face do we have here? And I said, oh, that's the host of a show I produce. Just thought it'd be funny for the bit. And she's like, oh, can I throw at his face? And she was into it. And she took a couple of turns going after you. So it was a good time.
So you got people I don't even know to hate me.
No one hated you. There was no hate. It was all... Strouf, you had your face blown up on a giant screen. I know how much attention you like. Everyone was watching.
Yeah,
so
I do. But that's
you were the center of attention.
I do like being the center of attention. Rumor has it I might end up at a karaoke bar tonight. Right? So yeah, I like attention. I'll be the first to admit it. This attention I don't appreciate. This is attention that seems rude and angry and fueled with just all sorts of controversy. It just seems like you have something against me. You don't like me. Play that video again. Look how excited you look to be throwing sharp objects at pictures of my face. You couldn't look more thrilled. And you can hear, play the video, because you hear listen to what you say in just a moment. Kill him.
Count it. I didn't say that.
Pretty good, he says. And poof goes the dynamite. There goes Alex Strouf's face. Yeah, this was hurtful to wake up to. I'm not going to lie to you. I opened that video at 5:30 a.m.
I think you might have an HR complaint here.
Wait a second now. Which of the two is worse here? You had your host invade your privacy yesterday for a pack of Zins.
Yeah, that's true. He did go into my backpack, yeah.
And I had fake balloons of you.
I think it's you.
No.
Because I'm not shocked by Ben Brust's behavior. Your behavior.
Yeah, we expect more from you.
Your betrayal. Literally.
Betrayal.
I was going to say stabbing me in the back, but you stabbed me in the face.
Which,
Right
at least you were able to see it coming.
In the face. That's not bad, Hunter. That's not bad. So, yeah, I don't really know where we go from here, I guess is where I'm hung up.
Well, as I was told.
How do I get even?
How do you get even? I was just going to say that as I was told when I took the role on of being the producer for this as well as like volleyball, you take the brunt of a lot of the problems that happen.
Yeah, that's true.
When it comes to shows, you know this producing for Kyle Brust and Norman, you get blamed for a lot.
I do.
And it was my opportunity to just say, hey, sometimes Strouf frustrates me, and instead of yelling at Strouf, instead of taking it out on you physically or verbally, I'm like, you know what? I'll throw it some fake balloons that have your face on it. So I felt like that was a healthier way to handle things. I felt great, and it was the best portion of the axe throwing that I had. So you motivated me to have a great performance.
He liked it too much. This is
bad. This is bad.
I feel like this is a healthier way for me to deal with my stress than lashing out at people.
How do you think the show's gone today? How do you think we've done the last 50 minutes?
I think pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like we had a good show because I got that out. I wasn't stressed out.
Okay,
I was relaxed.
So here's the issue with that. If you're going to take that angle, I understand it, okay? I think it's a fair angle to take. What the hell's going to happen when you don't have another opportunity to do this for 12 months? What are we looking at in June?
I'm a grown man. I can go to Madison Axe whenever I want. I have adult money.
So are you just going to bring like a USB thumb drive with you every time and go, hey, can you put this face on board number 3, please?
Yeah.
You know what? That's kind of cool, actually. Do you think, okay, now the whole idea of this is actually what fascinates me. I don't think you hate me. I think you might. I'm not sold you do, but you might. I don't think you do, though. Now, to that point, do you think there's like bitter people that go there and put like their exes up there?
Absolutely.
Do you?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that's why they did that.
Because it seems like that is more of a, in the way we were doing it was more of a haha funny, right? Like I did receive some other videos of other people's faces that have moved from the Madison office this year. So I'm good with that. But I wonder if that is abused, right? That function at Madison Axe. People go there and they're like, hey, my ex screwed me over. I need to throw his face on there. Or her face on.
Yeah, that practice and that thing. Well, mostly funny here, and we are making fun of poking fun at Hunter. It is a funny thing to do for someone you actually like. When it's someone you actually have hatred towards, it gets real ugly. Like if you really dislike someone and you're there just hucking axes at a board, that gets a little dark.
Like if I was to go there right now, and we'll use the example I led the show with, Devondre Campbell. If I showed up there with the ESPN.com headshot of Devondre Campbell on a thumb drive, and I said, hey, can you throw this on board 2 quick? And I'm just throwing axes at Devondre Campbell, and somebody walks in. Not the best visual. Right?
No.
It's not a good look. So people that were moseying around.
I would throw it at Aaron Rodgers. That would be fun.
That's actually not a half bad idea.
Yeah, but again,
oh, my God. Hunter. I completely blanked on this. I wanted to talk about this on the show today. We'll make it another what I learned because I really did learn something today. So Joshy and I hosted Jen, Gabe, and Chewy this morning. Jen, Gabe, and Chewy were all off, so it was us taking over and running the show from 7 to 9 this morning. I learned today, and I think I knew this to a point, but not to this level. Joshy can make anything about Aaron Rodgers. Anything. He said Devondre Campbell quitting last night was Aaron Rodgers' fault. Like, he can make anything.
What?
Exactly. He can make anything
That's
about Aaron
not
Rodgers.
what I said.
I mean, it's kind of what you said, though, no?
I made a connection to unhappiness and issues within the locker room and how there seemed to be a rot in terms of personality that stemmed and started with Aaron Rodgers. We have Aaron Rodgers unhappiness. We saw the Jair thing. We had the David Bakhtiari issue. There's been guys there who've become a little bit of locker room issues, and that's something the Packers never really have dealt with, at least publicly.
It's true. It's a good point. But, yeah.
He's poisoned the well. That's all I'm saying.
That was
Everything.
impressive.
See, everything. Hey, Joshy, Hunter throwing axes at my face. Do you think Aaron Rodgers had anything to do with how he wound up in that situation?
Yeah, much like Aaron Rodgers, Hunter needs to find better outlets for his anger. Instead of lashing out to the people close to him that mean the most to him, he decided to look. He's decided to look inwards. He needs to look more inwards at himself and not lash out.
This might be your best skill, Josh.
Yeah, it's a skill.
I'm so
It's a skill.
impressed by this.
I mean, he could do it with everything. It's unbelievable how Aaron Rodgers' number one hater, Josh DiMaggio, can spin anything, and he can spin a web of lies or truths about how it's Aaron Rodgers' fault. All right. Does anybody else have a what we learned, or are we wrapping up the show?
No.
Okay, you don't have one, Joshy?
I'm good.
All right. Well, the Green Lake guy, signature bond. He's free. He's a free man until his court date, January 10th. Just like that.
Yeah,
So,
this is exactly what I thought.
yeah, I did too.
What's he? What are they keeping him in?
He was
I guess
arrested.
he's a flight risk.
Yeah, well, So
Well,
I don't think he can do
Literally?
any of that. But yeah, literally. But he was arrested on, I think, obstructing an officer. Essentially, that's the one thing he's held on right now. Now, I imagine there will be extra charges added to this at some point. But right now, it's just that. So kind of wild.
So, question about this for
Yes.
the two of you.
Yeah.
So he was originally from Watertown.
Yes.
And then went up to Green Lake.
Goslings. Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
With his family being back there and he's out on bond, like, you're not going back to Watertown, right? You can't, like, face your
No,
family.
can't.
But where are you going? Where are you going? Are you living in your? Does he have a car? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I would, if he's in Green Lake, like, Oshkosh isn't far away.
Hotel.
There's Ripon right over there. There's some small towns that you could, like, I'd be there.
If
I couldn't go back to
and I don't know
Watertown.
how this works, but if you're a hotel, aren't you saying no, sir? We're not taking your service, or like, can you not do that? I don't know. I don't know how any of this works.
I don't know.
Here's a question. If this was one of your friends that you had known for a long time, and he said, hey, man, I did try and flee for Eastern Europe and leave my family, but now I'm back and I have got nowhere to go. Would you take him in and let him sleep on the couch?
Yes, for the story, but I want cash in hand up front.
Yeah, my answer is probably not. I'd need a hell of an explanation because this is bananas behavior. I mean, it's not a joke. I know we're fascinated by the story, but it is not a joking manner. I mean, this is bananas crazy.
What explanation were you looking for? I think it's pretty straightforward.
Dude, why the hell did you go that route? Why didn't you just say, hey, here's the papers, honey? Right? Like, there are so many better ways to go about this.
He was in love. People do weird things when they're in love. Strouf.
Okay, I'm not arguing with that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's actually amazing to me how when this story initially dropped, all three of us kind of talked before the show. We're like, I don't know if we should touch it. And now we talk about it every show. We've got an update every 48 hours. It's unbelievable.
I got to say, I from day one have been like, I think we need to talk about this because it was so much of this is not done. And it has provided every step of the way. And we've got more to come.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that court case is going to be covered
nationally.
Quite publicly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. January 10th, he is due in court. So we will have more updates for you in the new year. That does it for us today. We are back with you Monday following Sunday Night Football on between the Seattle Seahawks and the Green Bay Packers. Hope I'm wrong on this one. Hope I'm wrong. I think the Packers lose on Sunday, and we'll have a lot to unpack on Monday if that is the case. Or could it be the signature win they've been longing for? Because if that's the case, and they win big on Sunday, we will still have a lot to unpack. A big thanks to Joshy. Big thanks to Tiny Hands Hunter Vaughn. Good to be back in the same room, well, technically, as him here at the Everlight Solar Studio in downtown Madison. We're looking forward to Monday and Sunday night. First, we have Green Bay Game Day Sunday, by the way, if you want to get ready for the game with us, beginning at 4 o'clock on ESPN Wisconsin, 620 WTMJ. Streaming, we're on YouTube, ESPN Madison, ESPN Milwaukee. John Anderson, Brian Bulaga, Gabe Neitzel, myself, joined by Rob Domofsky, Jason Wilde as well will join us to break down all things ahead of Packers Seahawks Sunday beginning at 4 o'clock. And then we are back with you 12:30 Central on Monday. We will talk to you then. Make it a great weekend. Make decent decisions. We will talk to you Monday. It's Mr. Relevant, I'm Alex Strouf. Peace.